Hey, can you guys hear me? What's happening? Let me know if you guys can hear me okay. Someone? Anyone? Thank you. I don't think anyone can hear me. What's up? All right, so I know you guys are gonna, hey, Beans. I know you guys are gonna ask questions about last night's video. I know nobody's in here. I heard some shit from people. Oh, I discussed this already. I discussed that already. That's fine. I don't care who discussed it. Most of us have never heard it before. So that's why I presented it. Secondly, another feedback I got is that Steven owned a Blazer. Yes, but here's the catch to that. Steven did own a Blazer. Teresa came and took pictures of it on August 22nd. So there was no need for him to take another pictures of it. So Brendan's story either leads to that it was Bobby's or Steven's. But I really don't think it was Steven's because it didn't make sense if it was Steven's. So that's why I kind of think it was Bobby, because in his interrogation on the way up to Kravitz, whatever, Civitz, he had said in this interview about the Blazer and that Steven said it would be gone in a few days. So him saying it again in March made absolutely no sense. So again, if you connect all the dots and look at it, there's no way it was Stevens. That's one thing that I noticed completely. What's up, Shauna? That's one thing that I noticed and that I pieced together is that there's no way he was talking about Stevens because, yeah, Steven had 7 cars registered in his name, but it doesn't really matter because you could have 1,000 cars registered in your name. He owned a lot with like 3,000 cars. But Brendan was pretty specific on different times about this Blazer that Steven never drove. It was registered to him, but he never really drove it. So that's what I want to say on that. Thank you, Chase. That's what I want to say on that. Lawyer friend with the big fridge put me in timeout. She's a moderator, though. She can do it as she called. Hey, Sharon. So before I forget, I want to wish you guys all a happy Thanksgiving tomorrow. If you're from the U.S., if you're from Canada, happy belated, because I heard it was back in October, and I don't know when it is overseas, if you guys even celebrate Thanksgiving, but eat anyway. Hey, Phoebe. But eat lots of turkey anyway. I have to work tomorrow, but then I'm cooking for the kids after, so it's a long day. So I started cooking tonight, too. Another thing I want to bring up before I forget is I think I know who TikTok Manitowoc is, but I'll explain that after. Zellner, did anyone see Zellner's tweet today? Anyone? Happy Thanksgiving, Marissa. Steven's primary vehicle is a Granite Black. That's what I'm saying. Like he never really drove it. There's no reason for him to. Hey, Shreezy, there's no reason for him to Brendan to constantly talk about the Blazer. It just doesn't make sense. But let me pull up Zellner's tweet. Whoop. As soon as I can find it. Okay. So Zellner's tweet said, "Making a murder, brain fingerprinting, expert office, Ken Kratz, free session. Put your brain where your mouth is. We are waiting on Mr. Kratz, the investigators, Bobby Scott, or Ryan Hilligoss to jump at the opportunity." I have a problem with that because I really don't think that they're going to jump on it, especially Kratz, who ruled it off as junk science. Like, I'm not really sure what she's looking for there. Because if I was innocent, whether she wanted me to take the test or not, the letter on my wall, I moved it over because everyone said something about it, so I just moved it. I know KK won't do it. I don't think any of them will do it. But at the same time, if I was innocent, I would almost feel like I have nothing to prove to her. Like, you're not going to find anything because I didn't do anything. So why do I have to play your games? That's me, though. And I'm a bitch like that. And most of you guys know that. But I don't know what I would do in that position, especially if she's naming me. I may be like, whatever. Kratz has absolutely no reason to say it, to take the test. Christine wants to know, who is Brad Dassey? Brad Dassey is Brendan's half brother. Different moms, same dad. I agree. I wouldn't do it either. You're just handing them rope. Exactly. If I was innocent, I would do it to prove it in a drop of a dime. But you say that, Chase, but you kind of feel like, why should I have to? Like, if they're not going to find anything, what if I'm nervous? What if I say the wrong thing? It's like taking a lie detector test. What if you just happen to be really nervous and you fail it, and yet you're still innocent? I listened to BOD's interview again, and what time did you leave? I left for her. That's another thing that I was thinking about that really bothers me. Why is Bobby not ever want to be involved, or any of the brothers be involved in any of the Making a Murderers or anything to do with his brother? That's the one thing that is really, I thought about it. I'm like, Blaine, Bobby, none of them wanted to have any part of possibly making your brother free, or, showing support for your brother or something. I didn't understand that at all. But brain fingerprinting does it. It's, from what I understand, it's kind of works on the same lines as a lie detector. It's still going to go by your nerves and by your jitters and everything. Like I said, it's kind of like Scientology, but it's going to work on your nerves. Imagine his brain exploding. Not bad. Can you imagine Scotty doing that fingerprint? No, I can't at all. So now, did you guys hear Ali Apperson's video with Brad talking? If you haven't, check it out. But he was on some radio show talking about his brother and stuff. And he was saying that Scott is like a lunatic and he screams all the time. And, when he first met him, he blew up like a moron, so on and so forth. And it was pretty good, though. As well as supporting their brother, you'd think they'd also want to talk to clear their names. I agree. I totally, totally agree. And I agree that he was honest on the program, but he also didn't say much about Bobby. And why is nobody ever saying anything about Bobby? Like, there's something there. I mean, I've been saying it for 2 years. There's something there. God, I was literally about to go to bed and then saw you streaming. Stay up. Thanks, Paul. I was actually going to go at 8, and then people were here already. So I was like, I'm not going to make them wait an hour. Thanks, Phoebe. I think he also pointed out, well, we knew ST. Yeah, we knew ST has anger issues. But it just, all these things combined, and it just really got me thinking. And I'm like, you know what? It's just only confirms what I already know, that something is involved, which leads me to, and then we'll start talking about questions. But one thing that I've been thinking about for days, thank you, TC. One thing I was thinking about for days, and I can't stop thinking about it, is, and don't get mad at me, don't hate me, but I really think Brendan knows something, and I'm starting to think Steven does too. I don't think that either one of them are involved in the murder. I don't think either one of them had any part of the murder. But I think they might know something. Now, do I think they know something to the point that they would spend the rest of their lives in jail covering for somebody else? I think Brendan would. I don't know about Steven. But I just feel like there's something to it. I can't explain why, but like, there's other videos of, people saying they saw Steven, and I believe that they saw Steven that night. But like, why doesn't Steven say, well, I couldn't possibly at home because I was out here? So it's like he's covering for something. There's a lie somewhere. And like, once you lie, then you're known as a liar. So if he's covering for something else that he doesn't want to get caught, then it's kind of like, well, what else do you know? And I just keep mulling back and forth. And anyone else share these thoughts? Stephen couldn't possibly know some, otherwise he would have. You would think that, and I agree with you, Michelle, that he probably nothing to do with the murder, but I just feel like there's something that nobody's getting. I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it. There's just something that we're all missing, including Zellner. And I don't know what it is, and I don't even know how to find it. But it's something is there. And more people know than are letting on, is what I mean. Not that more people know how she died, but more people know the after problem of when she died. But I won't stop listening. Thanks, Amber. Brennan was convicted on those tapes alone, no evidence. We were talking about that last night, Fallon, and one of the things that I think it was Marissa that actually said it, and she's right, is that they may have not, the jury may not have looked at the big picture like we all saw and looked at the little tiny details that we seem to be picking up now and not originally. But what I don't understand, though, and I keep mulling this over and over and over, is I don't get how the juries, like, for example, Kratz's entire story did not come out of Brendan's confessions. Now that I re-listened to the confessions again, no, like that was completely made up. How do you listen to the confessions and then go by Kratz's story? It just doesn't add up. There's like no, but it didn't even match. Like, no wonder they couldn't use the confession in the trial, because nothing matched what Kratz said. So I just keep like mulling it over and over. I'm like, there's something we're all missing. Something I went down to Dassey's boys, like when Steven says on the phone combo, you don't want me to talk about that. There's like something. It's like we're right there and we just can't get it. As far as Brendan goes, it seems like somebody could twist things around and make him say what he needs to be said. I don't think that he's slick. I agree with you, Christine, and I'm not disagreeing. John still doesn't think she's dead. No, it's just, thinking about what Kratz said as compared to the interrogation, and then you have two separate trials. And this is another thing that's bothering me. You have two separate trials, and in each of those trials, they're both convicted of the exact same crime, but completely separate. Meaning, like, one was killed in the garage, one raped her in the trailer. How did the public not see this? How did the appeal board not see this? They're still co-defendants, whether they were tried separately or not. They're still co-defendants. One was on the news. Like, how do you have the same murder in two different places and nobody catches it? That it's been done in two different places. Brendan harassed by the other cop and told him you won't go to jail. Should have been brought up. That's relevant. He didn't say you wouldn't go to jail. He just said the truth will set you free. FBI say they need 14. I know, and it was only 7, Loki. I'm not convinced. Michelle doesn't believe she's dead yet either. Apparently, it's totally Phoebe, I'm telling you, I've never heard that before. Like, there's one crime. There's one body. Two different people didn't kill her in two different places. The discovery was ridiculous. I totally agree with you. Did Brendan come home early and walk in on Bobby's killing her? I don't think Brendan saw the killing or anything. I don't believe he knew that much. What I do think is maybe the whole Bobby and Scott or Bobby and Mike were getting rid of her, and Brendan saw a piece of that, and they were told, like, keep your mouth shut, and drove away. I think it's more something like that, not like completely, out, hey, help me kill this girl. I don't think it's that at all. I don't think Brendan could have kept that quiet. But I also think Brendan's scared shit of Scott. Brendan see Bobby and Mike cutting, but I don't even think it went that far, Milby. I really don't. I don't even think Brendan saw that much. Let's see her long afterwards. I think it was very like quiet, and it was more like Brendan came home because, you have to remember Brendan and Blaine came home together. So if Brendan and Blaine came home, Blaine would have seen the same thing. So that scenario isn't right. Something happened between Brendan and Bobby, or Brendan and Bobby and Mike and Scott, or whoever, in order to make that happen. Otherwise, Blaine would have seen it too. So that's what I mean. Like, there's something in this that nobody's catching yet. Whatever Brendan may have seen at the time, I'm not sure he realized really what he saw until later. I'll agree with that, Karen. That's why I don't believe like he saw Bobby killing or anything. I think that was all coerced in his head. I think Brendan was initially told, don't tell the cops anything, especially his first interview. Don't talk about the bonfire. I'll agree with that. There's a great post on Reddit titled Updated October 31st that was posted today. It is the best chronology with citations that I've ever seen. Joseph, can you give Marissa the link? I'd like to see it. So I got into my head, could have been his brothers and his mom. See, that's another thing that everybody keeps saying. It's okay, Missy. That's another thing that everybody keeps saying. Before I forget, another thing that was brought up by a bunch of people on my YouTube video, and they are so right. And I don't know how many of you guys caught this or read through comments, but I didn't want to forget. So I'm not like ignoring comments. I just didn't want to forget. Brendan says in that 1-minute piece that I had, he says they threatened me. That couldn't have been Stephen, because Stephen wasn't a they. And the cops did not coerce him to say they. Cops did not coerce him to be more than one person. He specifically said they threatened me. So that to me takes out Stephen out of the equation, because we know Stephen and Bobby don't like each other, so they weren't killing together. So that leaves either Bobby and Mike or Bobby and Scott. But I found that very interesting that he used the words they. And I also didn't catch it. Like 5 people on YouTube caught it, and I thanked them for that. I think Marissa caught it as well. That's pretty heavy shit. That's not coerced. How many days of audacity? I thought it was a weekend, but I think Allie Apperson said it was one night. But I actually thought it was a weekend. I don't think we can read into anything. It's a specific choice of words from Brendan. But Michelle, we can, because there's a lot of shit that was coerced into him. I absolutely agree with that, and I will never, ever deny that. All the details, everything, that was all bullshit put in his head. But the little things, like he said the word they instead of I or Stephen or something, there's something to that. They got to my head. The mom was wondering, well, that was about the police. Did you eat on your brothers? I think that's typed out wrong. Thanks, Missy. I think Bobby, Scott, and Mike Brendan in the cutting and the burning the body and brainwashed and blackmailed him. I don't know about that, Kate. I'm not so sure he was involved in the murder. I don't think that his mental capacity could actually handle a murder. I really don't. I think it would have broke him. Maybe they told Brendan to say it was Stephen. Well, the police told him to say it was Stephen. I mean, they kept egging Stephen. They didn't even give anything another possibility. It was just Stephen. Pretty sure by now it'd be a D. I agree with you that I think he probably would have rolled 2. Have you watched tapes of the boyfriend and the brother during the search? Of 1,000 times, Lee. But to this day, and I could be wrong, I have never pegged Ryan as the murderer. I've said my theory a lot. I believe he was absolutely hands down involved in the cover-up. he was involved in the setup. I almost even believe that he was the one that found the car and drove it somewhere or something, that he's involved in that aspect of it, but all because he believes Stephen is guilty. If anyone has an address for Bobby and Scott, I could show up with a branding iron and blowtorch, get all this straightened out. No, we didn't watch the murder. She was already dead. I agree with that. Tard, very funny. Ryan sickens me. Yeah, that Ryan acted smug on the stand. He didn't act as smug as Scott did it. Any police interview I've ever had, they asked me questions without any details. The ending narrative, including names, was me. And if I said he, they would ask who I was referencing. That's true, too. And that's another thing, though, is that, like, Marissa just said it. If cops, even if they're trying to plant somebody, just like they did, they were asking them questions about Steven and saying, well, Steven shot her in the head, right? Not you shot her in the head, or it was Steven did this, or Steven did that. So for him to say they, it just didn't add up to me. Teresa not dead. I know a lot of people say she's not. There's a theory that possibly faked her death. It's possible. I don't believe it, though. That would be too many people involved. To say that she's alive would have too many people in this conspiracy. That's why I don't buy it. Stephen was alibi for a whole day. Dolores talks to him at 3 o'clock. Force Castle Department to eat romaine lettuce or tell the truth. Hey, I like romaine lettuce. Murder and cops plus their helpers were different parties. Hey, Kimberkiss, do you think it still could possibly be Josh Rennan? I'm not ruling him out. I mean, it was his property. I can't say I'm ruling him out. Do I think that he is 100% guilty? I don't know. I honestly don't know. Fluffing out of butter is annoying. Yeah, Amber, you mean since I did the video about it? And if anyone was able to find something that I wasn't, be my guest. But yeah, there was nothing I could find differently than that she's the only person. And I tried looking under every single name. Donate romaine lettuce. CDC says throws it out. UG Cole. Really? I didn't even know that. Have you heard of Brendan? Brendan was never tested for autism. Doctors never felt he had autism. Jails would have tested him because I don't believe that you can put an autistic kid in regular maximum security, but I might be wrong. Fact that nobody can point a finger at anybody as the murder, including planted evidence, is because nobody murdered her. She's part of the frame. That would be good. Big. Jimmy definitely doesn't have Asperger's. Asperger's means you're extremely intelligent. Fuffinut is biting me. My son has Asperger's, and he's like a genius level. Romaine in the USA. I actually didn't even know it was recalled. But Asperger's is not a learning disability. Asperger's means that you're socially inept. Doesn't mean you're slow. Like my son went to a school for Aspie kids, and they were all geniuses. I mean, they're all like heading straight A honor roll students. And then there was autism that was totally different. Mine's only good at one subject. Yeah, I'm telling you, my son has it. He's incredibly smart. Thank you, Marissa. Yeah, say hi. He needs a bath. Bad. So your online gaming streams. Love the one with the kids blocked you in the doorway. Whoop. He's gorgeous. He's a pain in the butt. He keeps biting me. Say hi. Say hi. Um, thanks. He's dirty. He needs a bath so bad. He hates water. He needs a haircut and a bath. He just keeps biting me. Look up Sandra's vlogs and her husband Dave. Dave is who I was referring to too. He is Karen. Yeah, well, he's not really a toy. He's a full-bred Maltese. He's very spoiled. He's mad. Have you talked about the second part of your video, tattoo guy? Yes. I haven't talked to you about it yet, but it took me a minute to know what you were talking about. So the tattoo with Bobby, people are telling me that he didn't get the tattoo until after 2006 or after that girl's murder or whatever. And like I said originally, I don't know. I mean, the other sketches, that sketch looked a lot like him, but the other sketches of this killer did not look like Bobby. But, we don't know the whole truth yet. It's like it comes down to this. I have a very hard time believing that someone of Zellner's caliber is just throwing shit against the wall and seeing what sticks. I am not a Zellner fanatic. I think she's made a bunch of mistakes so far in the beginning. Like, I don't even believe she wrote her first two motions. I think her assistants did, and it was obvious. The last one, I believe she wrote. But I just feel like I want to believe that she's not just throwing shit against the wall and saying, well, let's see what sticks. I would like to think that she has like clear cut evidence of this stuff before she accuses people. Just my thoughts. What's the deal with George Zipper blogs? No, it's not Brian. He's actually really good. I've gotten some good stuff from him. But I think I know who TikTok Manitowoc is. Someone sent me a message on YouTube that was the exact same message from TikTok Manitowoc. And I said, you know what? If that's who this is, bam, score. Bang Bang, the discovery was garage. Why do you think Brendan's mom is letting this happen to him? I'll tell you why, Missy. I've been saying this for a long time. I really believe the way Barb speaks of Bobby, she doesn't say like, he would never do this, or he's a wonderful person, or he, does charity work or whatever. All she says was, why are you doing this to Bobby? He has his own family, or he has 2 kids to worry about. I know she's not intelligent, but to me, that's not the type of answer you give somebody if they're completely innocent. Or, I would like give the attributes of my child, not, well, he has 2 children, so that's why he's not guilty, or why are you doing this? That's why I think she's covering it. Barbara Sophisticated Zeke, she's pointing out Scott fits a Denny motion. I agree with that, Cheryl, but I still don't think Scott murdered her. Do you think the magic key was used to move the RAV4? I think Ryan moved the RAV4. Not every hunch you raise needs to be accurate for the hunches to all be valuable. Thank you for. Thanks, Joseph. I think the magic key came from Ryan, but that goes back to I also believe that Ryan either moved the car or planted the car or something with like. I think he found it, which is how he got the day planner, which is how he took the camera thing, the picture disc, I can't think of the word, floppy disk, whatever it was, out of the camera. I can't think of the word I'm looking for. The one thing that holds all the pictures out of the hard drive and put it in the back of her car. I think Ryan did all that. Ryan could have been stalking her. Ryan could have been on her. Ryan could have been, wondering where she was and then started looking for her and then found the car. That's kind of what I'm thinking Ryan's involvement was, and that's what it's always been. But every once in a while, like I'll come up with something new about it, and I really think that's what Ryan's involvement was. I've never thought he killed her. I don't know why I haven't, because he's like the most obvious. I just don't. I don't know why. Do you think there's chance Zellner's maybe driven by fame? Paul, honestly, when she first took this case, I felt like that's all she wanted was smoke and mirrors. Like everything was smoke and mirrors. She probably didn't even believe he was innocent, but nobody else would take the case. Then I think she started more and more into actually doing it. But I mean, my steady followers can tell you, like, the first two motions was like Zellner was like watching all our videos and wrote a motion for it. I mean, she was almost identical. And it was like, what is she doing? Like, did she even write this? Then by the third one, there was a little more proof in it. But to say she's wants fame from it, she's already in her 60s. So she's going to retire soon. I don't if she was a young hot attorney, possibly, but I don't think at this stage of the game and her reputation she needs that fame. And that's just personal opinion. Can any tell me what's going on? Barb and Zellner put out these tweets. Which tweets? That would be a question of Erico's. I have not been involved in the family room since 2016 when Barb sent a letter saying I better remove all my videos that say Scott is the murderer because her husband's not a murderer. Ever since then, I was kicked out of the family rooms and never been back. Bobby's late for work that night. I think Bobby did it. Bobby helped cover it up. BD overheard talking. Barb can manipulate BD to say or remember she chooses. Yeah, I mean, even when, and I know I'm missing a bunch of questions, and I apologize. I'm trying to backtrack. One of the things that always bothered me about Barb too is that you never like when he goes in there, she wasn't like, and again, I know she's not intelligent, but she's still a mom. And she didn't go into Brendan like hugging him, like, oh my God, what did they say to you or anything like that. It was more, oh, well, what did they say? Oh, they got to my head. What do you mean they got to your head? How about like, oh my God, son, something. She was in jail before. Her husband was in jail, even if it was her boyfriend at the time. They know that they're being recorded. Like, so tell your son, be careful. Like, just be a mother. That's what bothered me. Falcon hasn't been around lately. Thomas Hens, I gotta say this. I don't know if he's here yet or not. Thomas Hens wrote on my YouTube the dumbest statement I've ever seen in my entire life. He said they passed each other going 100 miles an hour. Said, no, they didn't. Well, if one's going 50 one way and one's going 50 the other way, that means they passed at 100 miles an hour. No, that means they passed at 50 miles an hour. I just couldn't believe he said it. I was like, wow. Okay, now. What is the deal with the got that? Are not the Manitowoc cops there and higher ups are called the club? Kimber, because Dave believes they're all Masons. I did a video on this. I don't believe in the whole Mason thing. I believe it's a small town in Wisconsin. I believe that there probably is a boys club. I don't think it means they're going around murdering people. I don't think that and a lot of people gave me shit for this. I don't believe that it means there's some big conspiracy that, they're covering up for each other. It's a boys club. Any boys club are going to stick up for each other. But I don't think they're going to stick up to the point that they're completely illegal. I mean, these aren't Yale graduates that are in Bohemian, what's the word I'm like, what's that club called? Bohemian whatever. These are just Manitowoc people. Maybe they're wannabes. I don't know. I don't think it's this as intense as Dave seems to make it, but I've never lived in Manitowoc, so I don't know. I can't say for sure. Ben doesn't know how to spell the word wreck. Bobby's word can't really be trusted. I agree with that, Karen. Why didn't I answer that? Barbara's pissed at KZ because he's pointing out that, yeah, I agree. All right, so I think I'm caught up with the back ones. Brenda said she was shot 10 times when they burned her body. Why weren't the bullets in the barrels? Christine, who? Who's Brenda? Zellner said before that she didn't want to make the real perp run. That's why I think it's Mike Chase. That's why Mike is my first suspect. Because she's trying to, the way I see Zellner, she's trying to get close to Bobby because Bobby's close to Scott. So she's trying to make it where Bobby is going to either give up Scott because he doesn't want to take the heat. Scott is going to give up Scott because he doesn't want to take the heat. I mean, give up Mike because he doesn't want to take the heat. But Mike's dad is also a cop, so she can't go right after him. Mike, I learned that recently that Mike O's dad is a police officer, and you know that a police officer is going to cover for a son. I mean, that's just the way it is. So I have a feeling that she's trying to get to Mike because he's so close with Bobby, or at least was then, that if they put enough heat on Mike and Scott, it'll execute Mike to come forward. Just complete guess. Random. Okay. It's very possible Bobby accidentally killed TH. I don't know how you can have such an accident, though. I think KZ is messing with their heads. Giving up. I agree, Kathy. But I also wonder, like, I get the fact that she's, trying to get people to talk, but she's so blatantly naming them. That's ballsy. Like, they could sue her. I don't know why they don't if they're so innocent. Well, Marissa, Sandra had contacted her for years and she never answered. She wouldn't take the case. Not a lawyer in Wisconsin would touch the case. Not any lawyer that Sandra went after would touch the case. It went on for years. Wouldn't touch it. Bohemian Grove. Thank you, James. And Paul. I agree the women in Wisconsin don't act motherly. Right? Yeah, I'm trying to keep both sides in mind. John also think that was creepy. Where are we? That I missed one. Barbara's Facebook page I've been blocked from that page forever. Beating and stranglators, you mean Dumb and Dumber Tard? Is there proof that Bobby was late to work? I think there was proof that he was 2 hours late. I remember seeing that somewhere. No, I think Teresa's legitimately dead. I think the cops had a hit on a man who killed Teresa? Nah, I don't believe that at all. I really don't think the cops had anything to do with her death. I mean, would I swear by it? No. But I'm pretty confident they had nothing to do with it. Stop biting. SA would not keep keys to junk cars. If he needs to move one, he would hotwire. Yeah, I agree with that too, Joseph. Scott Bloden knows. I don't know about that. I think Scott's just an idiot. The blog goes TH happenings prior to 10/31 and brought up the interesting events and interactions TH may have had with other parties, not mentioned elsewhere that I've seen. What, you mean like, Brian, you mean like the threesome she's had and all that stuff? That's all been covered. The married guy she was seeing, the threesome she's had. She wasn't an angel. She was a partier 25-year-old. A partying 25-year-old. Why would who do that? Thank you, Shauna. Yeah, I keep backtracking and I keep missing. Kate says, Kate, that's why Scott is helping cover up. He clearly hates Steven. He does hate Steven. There's no doubt about that. If you accidentally killed someone, your uncle and bro were facing life. Why wouldn't you admit it? Because they would never admit it. He's got a wife and kids, remember? I met Scott and Bobby, long day. I think Bobby did it with Scott helping cover up. Absolutely. Yeah, I believe that about Ryan, and that's why he acted all smug on the stand. But again, nobody acted as smug as Scott did. That smirk speaks volumes. There's so much discombobulated evidence. I agree with that. Self-preservation. Nobody's going to admit they did it. I mean, that's guaranteed. Nobody wants to sit in jail for the rest of their life. I say would not keep key. I did that already. James, I thought of that too, that he had GPS on the car or some kind of tracker. I just don't know how readily available those things were in 2005. It feels like it was forever ago. What's the matter, Fluff and Nutter Butter? What? You want to say hi to everyone? You want to say hi? Say hi. Hi. I would like positive proof. Shout out to Tia. I think KZ said she was dead, though. I can't say for sure, though. I wonder why KZ took the case too. If SA and Sandy writing her for years. Hey, did you guys hear? I saw this, I can't remember where, that Stephen wrote to Kratz, asked him to become his attorney. Did you guys see this? I saw a letter about this. I can't even tell you where I saw it, but I was shocked. I was like, why would Stephen do that? But yeah, Stephen wrote a letter to Kratz in 2010, maybe 2000. I don't remember when, but it was after his DA, so it had to be after the sex thing. So maybe 2011, or 12. But yeah, he asked Kratz to be his attorney. I was shocked. I was like, that's one man I would not want as my attorney. And it was like a legit letter. Does it take intelligence to actually know the police calls and such are recorded? She learned. That's what I'm saying, Marissa. She was already busted. Like, she was sat in jail. She knows how interrogations work. Could be it also was for school project, something I heard. Kimber, it was for a school project. That recording she made, I never understood it either. And I really never understood why Making a Murder released it. Like it was some big thing. I didn't understand that either. It's quite possible Barbara sees Brendan as a burden and does not love him. No, supposedly Brendan was his, like her baby, like she always protected him. And that may or may not be true, but she didn't seem to protect him when he was in that jail, when she went and did her divorce instead of getting him an attorney. And this is from somebody that understands the system. Scott understands the system. Scott was in and out of jail and in trouble a lot. There's no reason at all that Scott wouldn't say, oh, make sure he's not there alone. Make sure he's, has a lawyer with him, like something. Make sure somebody's with him, have a parent, whoever. The fact that even Scott, who has a criminal record, totally let him go speaks volumes to me. I didn't know Barb had been in jail. Yeah, she was in jail with Jody. Barb was busted for pot. What I heard, now this I heard directly from Scott's brother. And again, I feel like an Apple app. Like, there's an app for this. I made a video about this. Barb took the hit for Scott because Scott couldn't get in trouble again, or Scott was on probation, because he doesn't drink or anything, but he smokes a lot of pot. With his anger issues, it doesn't surprise me. And it seems that she took the fall for him, so he didn't get in trouble. So she went to jail overnight. And I can't remember exactly what the issue was. I'll have to look it up. But there was some kind of problem with they didn't let her out when they were supposed to let her out, or I can't remember. There was something to it, though, that was pretty major. It's quite spot. Where are we? Okay, she had. No, she did. I mean, she may have, but Sandra wrote her nonstop. Um, Wisconsin wonderful mothers, but I believe Dave McGoda is right. Manitowoc police, etc., family men and have a lot to lose. Absolutely. If MAM got Zellner, then so be it. SAIQ is 70. BTIQ is estimated to be 83. Thomas Hans can't spell IQ. I'm telling you, it was just the stupidest comment I ever heard. Good night, Paul. Teresa's mom acted weird. Barb acted weird. They all acted weird. And they all lied. Those are all the notes between SA and Wacky Kratzy. That's a good name, Wacky Kratzy. I like that, Denise. Somewhere online, KK wrote first when he first opened his own firm. Then when SA wouldn't put, oh, you saw that letter too. I mean, who posted it? I can't remember where I saw it. See, that I remember. He wouldn't put her on the visitors list because, well, that was for Kratz trying to get him to sign his book or whatever. Thank you, Marissa. Barb was with Jody in jail November 7th. Yeah, but there was something to it, or no, I don't think it was the 7th. I think it was like the day he got arrested, all right, don't quote me on this because I don't remember exactly, but it's something to do with Barb was supposed to get out, and for some reason she didn't get out on that day, but that was the day that, like, maybe it was the 31st. I don't remember. It couldn't have been the 31st. I don't remember. But it was something to do with when she got out that she didn't get out. And there was a big thing. This I do remember. There was a big thing that because it was washed under the rug. And I was explaining to people that you always have a chance. You get like one shot in the justice system in most states where it gets wiped under the rug and it's off your record. She got that. It's like she wasn't paid or anything, but there was something to do with the date she got out. I don't remember what it was. Fluff and Nut are so cute. Those little funny noises. That's because the big one's outside and he wants me to get him in. Calmness of that missing person and why the 3rd. I'd have called on the 1st. I don't remember. Barb was arrested on November 6th. Yeah, there was something too when she was arrested or let out. I don't remember. No, it's not him that needs to go out. The big one is probably barking at the door, and I can't hear with the headset on. Kratz the Rats looks, sounds, and acts like a child molester. He is a child molester. Absolutely like a child molester. I think she was also in jail in December. I don't know about that, but I do know that she was busted, that she took the fall for Scott on this pot. Yeah, Carrie, I still say that phone call is just weird. If my daughter was missing, I would be a little more excitable. I don't know the right word, but I mean, everybody talks about, and this is another thing, everybody talks about Steven's family being so fucked up and Brendan's family being so fucked up. And I'm not saying they're not, but look at the Hallbucks. I mean, she married her dead husband's brother. That's kind of creepy in itself. What makes that incest any different than, Pete marrying Lori, Steven's ex? To me, it's no different. It's actually kind of worse. This case, so many moving parts. It was at least 3 conspiracies against CA. Absolutely, Kate. I totally agree with that. Stephen was desperate at that time, and he probably thought KK was a good lawyer. It's possible, Chase, but what bothers me about the letter, and give me your thoughts on this, guys. What bothers me about the letter is I understand maybe he went with Steven because went with Ken because Ken convicted him. But Ken also lied, and Ken also started a big conspiracy. So if you're so innocent, Why would you want the lawyer that set you up to be there in the first place? It's not like it was a good attorney. It's not like he was this great attorney that, like legitimately got him there. If he supposedly lied as much as we all believe he did, then he would be the last motherfucker I would ever expect Steven to go to, just for the simple fact that he lied to put Steven away. So why would you want to use that if there's absolutely no truth in what he said to convict you? Give me your thoughts on that. Um, and possibly Kimber. Kimber says that maybe SA would have the opportunity to shank him. Joseph says SA. Karen, let me find Karen's question before I read another one. I hate missing questions. Karen, where's the question? I don't even see the question. Karen, were any of the Avery's guns checked for recent use? I believe they were, but at the same time, they would have all been used because they had this open field. They used to shoot shit all the time. So yeah, I do believe that they were tested. Phoebe says he mentioned the letter. If my special needs child was facing life, I would take the rap. Absolutely, Fallon. I sent you a link that other day, but probably can't find it now. It's on YouTube. Amber Lee, I would have had a heart attack. I don't blame you one bit. I would have panicked too. What'd I miss? My daughter went off the grid for a little while, over a day, and we fought and I panicked. Turns out a phone had been confiscated by a school. I was prepared to have a search party. I don't blame you, Amber. I would have too. I yell at my son all the time because he sleeps a lot at his girlfriend's house because they feed him really well. And I call him last time, like, are you sleeping out? You want to tell somebody? So yeah, I totally get it. Let's see. Kratz wrote him first about the book, Millaby, but Steven wanted him as an attorney. Could Scott and Bobby have been jealous about the money Steven was due to receive in compensation? So kill TH in order to set Steven up. I don't believe that Scott and Bobby would have killed her for that reason. Or Scott and Mike or whatever. I just don't think so. I thought the kid contacted him too. He did contact him, Shauna, earlier. And guys, by the way, if you guys want a question, I'll pop out at me, like it's directed at me, please highlight my name so I know it's directly at me. So this way I really won't miss any questions. Kratz had a letter during one of his interviews. Oh, is that what it is, Stacy? I can't remember where I saw it. I just saw it recently, though. Amber, I know the feeling. My son, when he was little, got lost in a store, and some guy brought him from inside. Oh my God, I was petrified. I was screaming, crying. I almost killed him for walking out of the store, and he was only like 2 or 3. I don't even think he was 4 yet. It had to be like 2 or 3. It's scary. Maybe Steve felt so hopeless and thought, this guy knows I'm innocent. But that's what I'm saying. The guy completely set him up. Why would you want to use an attorney that completely set you up? That's what I have a kind of a hard time dealing with. So what do you think of my theory? Which theory, Missy? Stephen was desperate at that time, and he probably thought the KK was a good lawyer. Yeah, KK is not a good lawyer. I truly believe they thought Brendan would not be charged because of his. Jan, I always said that KK wouldn't be charged. I'm sorry, not KK. That Brendan wouldn't be charged because he's a juvenile. So I think they may have thought if they cooperate, he'll be charged as a juvenile and he'll be out in 2 years and not tried as an adult. That's what I think. And let me elaborate on that a little. Um, I'm confident in that theory that Scott and Bobby and Mike and Steven even, or whoever, or even Barb, told him that, hey, you know what? You're barely 16 years old. You're not going to go away for life if you take the fall for us. If we do it, we're all over the age of 18. We're going to go to jail for life. Therefore, you really need to take the fall. You'll be out in 2 years. And 2 years came, and there's nothing he can do. Missy, I can say I don't remember exactly which theory, but I can tell you that I haven't read a bad theory yet. From all the different theories I've gotten over the last couple of days. If you can refresh me a little, I would. Don't get mad at me. Don't hate me. Just I've been reading a lot of stuff. Just like it took me 2 minutes to say about the tattoo guy, I wasn't even sure what they were talking about at first. So don't take it personal. Yes, there was a letter. All these notes between SA and Wacky Kratzy somewhere online. I believe so. I know that the one from KK is. Let's see, person call. All right, we're past that. On 11/7, BD told Bobby, Mike O, and Mike O's brothers hunt together daily at 3. Know if the brothers were ever interviewed. Oh, Brendan said, no, I think it was just Bobby and Mike. I don't think Mike O's brothers were named. And if Brendan said it, I didn't know about that. I'm glitching? Really? Fallon, you picking on me? Karen, what is the question? I'm not even seeing your name. You sure it's posting? Or maybe it's after this. I don't see Karen's question. Hey, Dave, we were talking about you earlier. Here we go. No? Laura, my theory is that Bobby and Brendan saw TH taking a pic, saw her leave, followed her, and raped her and accidentally. That, Missy, you brought me to a really good point that I wanted to say. I don't know why everybody's convinced Teresa was raped. There's absolutely no sign that she was raped. And yet everybody's taking pieces of Kratz's story. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but everybody's taking pieces of Kratz's story and saying that she was raped. There was absolutely no proof she was raped. She may not have been raped. She may have just been killed. So I don't want to say that she was raped because there's no proof she was raped because it was all bones. Ed Edwards, definitely not Ed Edwards. What about their circle set up Steven? No, it's definitely not Ed Edwards. They're non-existent. Clear as day said. BD says Bobby, Mike, and his brothers is what he said. Christine, yeah, I don't think I caught that, but I know that her mom said that it was Steve-O and not Steve-O. It was Mike-O and Bobby that did everything together. Sorry, confusion, but it's a delay. What was your question? Bobby's confusion surely points. Christine, to say that there's no proof of anything, I do agree with you to a point. Whoops. I do agree with you to a point that there's no proof, but Ed Edwards is made up by Cameron. If I posted this in Uncensored a long time ago, I did a timeline of the real events of Ed Edwards. He wasn't even anywhere near Wisconsin at that time. Cameron made up this whole bunch of lies to sell books because the actual Ed Edwards killed 3 people in his whole life. He was not this mass murderer that, and I did research on all different angles. He wasn't this mass murderer the camera made him out to believe. And Cameron's timeline is completely different than his real timeline. So let me just put that out there. Rape tends to leave bodily fluids, including normal female fluids. If it was violent as detailed blood, the mattresses was so clean. So if it raped, yeah, there was nothing in the bedroom. They cleared the bedroom. Thank you, Missy. What's right? I know I do that too. I throw things out there and I'm like, I don't remember. Which point was good and which that's right. It would have been awesome if there was EWE because then he died there. I think if TH is dead, Bobby and Mike and maybe Scott were hunting her around the quarry and woods. What bedroom? It happens at Taddock's. But Bernard, then Blaine would have seen it. I don't think it happened inside. You guys need to read the book. It answers most of your questions. I think we are all surmising. We don't know 100%. I agree with you. None of us know 100%. But also, Sicky letter matches Edward's handwriting. But it doesn't, Kimber Kiss. I went through this big thing with it. Besides with Chad Keller and some other dude, which we think may even be the same person, besides what they're saying, Ed Edwards doesn't fit it. That whole Sicky letter, Zellner, which I trust more than I trust Chad Keller, has already disproved it and said it really meant nothing. It's just somebody coming forward, but it's no big deal. It's not some encrypted letter that they're saying. They're causing a conspiracy when there is none. Okay. Yeah, because that's what I'm saying. There's no evidence she was raped. It's stuck in everyone's head, though, and that's what Ken Kratz wanted. That's how he convicted people. She didn't answer the question. She said she thought they were, but it wasn't relevant since they were always outside shooting. Oh, about the guns. Yeah, I did answer that. I was saying that guns, of course they use guns because they're constantly shooting outside. So they're always going to shoot guns. I'm sure they had bottles everywhere, just shot everywhere. Did anyone sweep the blazer for DNA? Bobby's blazer was crushed. I don't know when it was crushed, but it was crushed. There's no way to test it. Sick is from a person at Scott's work. Illiterate. A Sicky letter could have been from anybody. Maybe she wasn't even killed. Here we go with the not even killed, just ran their own property at cusp before a deer camp. Randon owns the deer camp or something. It was also allegedly burned. And see, that's shady. I don't know what year it was done, though, honestly. I have no idea what year it was done. Said sick letter was written by Dawn, the auto trader, trying to impersonate essay handwriting that she had. I don't know where you got that from. I don't buy that at all. I never did actually give any credit to that Sicky letter. I think it was bogus. I think it was somebody trying to look like he was somebody important. It's not that hard to write a cryptid letter. Steven's mom dropped his mail off after TH left. Then how is that Brendan bought mail? That's what I'm saying, Monica. I agree with that. I was thinking about that too when I was saying that they were convicted of the same crime in two totally different scenarios, and nobody ever gave Kratz's story. Didn't come from either one of them. It's just more fantasies in Kratz's head. Bobby and Mike are involved. Brendan is just a witness. Scott helped burn body. 7 said that Brendan didn't get him the mail. Oh, Steven said that Brendan didn't get him any mail. No, he didn't. Zellner spoken to Scott's work. She thinks it's from there. Yes, Jen, you are 100% right. She does think it comes from a coworker, and In my opinion, it looks like if you're a lefty, somebody's using that right hand to write. That's what it reminds me of. You know, like if you're not really ambidextrous, try writing a full letter with your opposite hand. That's what the Sicky letter looks like to me, and always has. Monica's question is legit. Class interview Essay's mom. I don't think they did interview Essay's mom. Her whole question was, if Steven's mom dropped his mail off after TH left, then how is it that Brenda brought mail at the same time and heard screaming? Did the cops interview Essay's mom to verify Essay's story? And again, the whole story was bullshit, so we knew it was bullshit. Because Brendan never even said any of that. It just came up from Kratz. My husband shoots his gun with my son almost daily at Targets, and just when he's bored. My first time catching a live stream. Big fan of your videos. I'm working on them. Thanks, Peterson. That seems like a stretch. What seems like a stretch, Tard? Hey, I saw that. Didn't Scott work at a smelter? Yeah. And Scott said something he had to race home to make sure blood on clothes wouldn't be mixed up with his. You know, that's another thing. I don't know how many of you guys have watched my videos from Scott 2 years ago. Scott was also trying to sell the gun, the 22 or something. He was trying to get rid of at work. That could have triggered this dude from work or a lady from work or somebody to write this letter. I just don't understand that if you're going to rat on somebody at work, and you really mean that you're going to rat on somebody at work, then why not just come forward and get them in trouble? Then you have nothing to worry about. Like, I guess the one thing that I'm looking for, that part of what I said in the beginning that we can't seem to find, who is everybody so scared of? Like, it almost seems like everybody's protecting somebody, but that somebody hasn't been caught yet. So that tells me, like, I don't think it's a serial killer. I don't think it's somebody in this inner circle that everybody's scared of, that nobody wants to come forward. That's kind of where I was getting out in the beginning. Like, I feel like that's what we're all missing. Who is this person or this entity or this group of people that everybody's so scared of? I'd like to know where the fuck Barb's interview records are. They're on Casso, the few that she has. I think the whole rape thing came from assuming a man who looked up such dark bullshit would be a rapist too. I totally agree. Kratz is a rapist. Bus driver testified she dropped him off at 3:45, but then the story changed. It wasn't solid. Was Scott at the smelter at 3 a.m.? According to Scott, no. Thanks, Bernard. Yeah, someone had asked me, who's Bernard Phillips? This is Bernard Phillips. He's the only human being that has Brendan involved in this murder from day one. The only person I've ever met. They are scared of the club. Dave and Monica, I'm not saying no, but someone at the smelter may not be worried about the club. Like, I just feel like it's one of them that something. Thanks, kid. They're all covering for Bobby. I don't know, or they're scared of Scott or something. It's like something is there. I can't get it. Travis shows up. What's up, Travis? I agree with you, Sean Atwood and Juan Toscano. Hey, Cindy. Happy Thanksgiving. Yes, Jen. They met at the Easy at noon. Sometimes the sheep need help getting through the fence. Ken Kratz. They are scared of the sheriff's department. But, and I'll buy all that. The club, the sheriff's department, I get all that. But this is somebody at the smelter. Maybe they don't even live in Manitowoc. Maybe they live, 30 miles away. Like, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's someone from Manitowoc. It's just something. Dave Eisen, when people go there to ask questions, even benign ones, no one wants to talk. where can we find any of these testimonies? They're pretty much in CASA reports. Yo, Travis. Bobby's blazer caught on fire on Xander Road and later was crushed. The culprits, Bobby, Scott, and Brendan. You forgot Mike O, Bernard. I'm not letting up on Mike O. Have you ever thought about Teresa's brother and Ryan? Yeah, we discussed this. I don't think Michael was involved at all. I think he was involved in the setup. I don't think he was involved in the actual murder. But it also goes into, do the ends justify the means? And I was going to make a video about this when Chris Watts was sentenced, and I didn't. And hold off questions for a minute, otherwise I'm going to miss a whole slew of them. It goes back to, do the ends justify the means? If you believe somebody is so guilty and it's your family member, your kid, your best friend, whoever, and will you do anything to set them up? If you totally believe they're guilty, and cops and DAs and Masons and everybody's telling you that these two are guilty, are you going to do whatever it takes and be able to look in the mirror the next day? Personally, I probably could. If someone ever hurt my kid, my mom, my dad's already dead, but if somebody ever hurt, one of my kids or killed one of my kids, I can assure you two things are going to happen. I'm either going to fucking kill them, but then I have to think I'm going to end up in jail. But am I going to kill them, or am I going to do whatever I can to work with the police to set them up? I'm going to have to go with plan B, and I will do whatever it takes to make sure they're in jail, because I firmly believe that they're guilty. You can't blame Mike for that. Were the kids on the bus that day? Wendy, I'm not sure. Not Brendan, Bernard, I don't think it's ever been discussed. Were there other kids on the bus that day? Maybe they saw something. I don't think they were looking for anything, so they couldn't have seen anything. Dave O'Proof is there. You're the only one talking about it. That's because Dave lived in Manitowoc, Jen. That's why he talks about it, though. ST is a record of actually putting his hands. And thank you, Shauna. ST, hands on women. Yeah, ST was an abuser. Absolutely. Tadich was a total abuser. Ryan Halbach was abusive and a stalker. We missed. Start. Why'd you erase it? Scott Tadich is more probable as suspect of those two. Bobby has scratches. No, Ryan has scratches. Well, actually, Bobby has scratches too, actually. What's up, crazy C-boy? Lee, talking about the Masons is the club they're referring to. Zippers was the last stop, yes. Then she returned to the Averys when she was abducted by Bobby. Shauna White, happy Thanksgiving. Kimber, that was a dead end on Zipper. Phoebe timed out Brian. I don't know why. Had to make a beer run. When a body is burned, it leaves a greasy residue, which has plenty for DNA. Yeah, John, I actually didn't know that until Making a Murderer 2. I had no idea that a body left, I never burned a body. How would I know? But I never knew that a body would have tar or something underneath. I had no idea. Barbara named Jeff Scott. She obviously thinks it's okay to be someone else's scapegoat. That's a good point, Jennifer. Absolutely a good point. This is what it said, Laura. ST has a record of actually putting his hands on women violently, but he does, though. And RH was abusive and a stalker, which is true. ST is more probable as a suspect of those two. I don't disagree there. BOD had scratches, and he was ST alibi. Sorry, Marissa, I don't disagree with anything Brian wrote there. I really don't. I think he's right about it, though, unless I'm missing something. When Barb says in phone call that SA will have a dead sister, yeah, remember that? That was crazy. I was like, how stupid can you be? You had to know that you were covering it. So then, Dave, let me ask you, if the Masons are so big and the Masons are so tight, then how come they're not coming after any of us YouTubers? How come they're not worried about any of us YouTubers? I don't know. That's where I have a problem with it. Like where I'm from in New York, if the mafia, they don't care if you're in fucking Guam. If they're coming after you, you start talking shit, they're coming after you. They'll send people to Guam. They don't care. So maybe that's why I don't see it like that. Because where I'm from, like Knights of Columbus is nothing. The mafia or something. Crazy Sea Boy, here's another one. I'll give you a second shout out. Maybe she was talking about the club. I'm a Mason. It's ridiculous to say we have something to do with this. All right. When did Barb go to jail for Scott? On November 7th of 2005. Right? 2005. My dad was a Mason. There's no secret handshake. Thank you. So you guys are backing up what I'm saying. Because I'm not dead yet. No, it's not what I'm saying. It's just different. I can't explain it. Armor Sonic Lodge is literally on the main street through town. That's how they were in New York. Like Knights of Columbus was nothing. But I'm not from Manitowoc, so I don't know what happens there. But I've always said that I didn't think it was anything. But I mean, I come from a totally different, area. I come from growing up on the streets and Queens, where you could get hacked by, you made a YouTube video about the mob, you're gonna die. I mean, back in like the 80s. I don't mean like now. My uncle's a high-level Mason. Worst I would say is they are terrible. Will protect one another. They have a big known problem with it in Britain. It's a satanic cult. They are just places that people go to drink when it's time to tie one on. Well, it's a boys' club. I mean, I'm not denying it's a boys' club. We've been discussing a video from yesterday about Brennan saying they and the blazer and stuff. Yeah, do you guys have any questions about the video last night? Because I'm going for about another 15 minutes and then I got to cut it because I have to work in the morning. But I'm only working because I'm getting paid like double time and a half. So I'm working tomorrow, which is 4:30 in the morning. Wendy Baldwin did burn. Yes, Kimber, she did. And it was pretty crazy. And she mentioned Kratz. And for most of you guys that don't know what I'm talking about, Wendy Baldwin, who is a whole subject in herself, but Wendy Baldwin, who went on national TV and lied, I believe definitely had something to do with the planning and shit. She did like this video burning a cross and mentioning Kratz and Pagel. It was very, very strange. That blazer thing blew my mind. It's talk about the picture serial killer portion of the video, please. Okay, so the video, the serial killer, Kimber actually brought it to me. I got some in my eye. Kimber actually brought it to me that there was mad at her about the blazer and stuff. No, that Bobby, like in conjunction with what's her name calling him a serial killer, Zellner calling Bobby a serial killer, which is kind of ballsy. But so then somebody back in August, I don't know names because I heard the secondhand, but somebody back in August had sent Zellner this package of like missing women in the area, and some of the descriptions may have fit Bobby. And so then Zellner started looking into it. I'm assuming she investigated. And I guess she thinks that there's some kind of merit to it because now she's calling Bobby a serial killer. But this girl disappeared. This girl, Deidre Harm, disappeared in 2006 from Wisconsin Rapids, which is about 2 hours from Manitowoc. And they go hunting and everything else. And what happened was during June, which I guess she would go there for the rapids. I don't know. I don't even know what it's about. But she disappeared from a bar, and the description looks an awful lot like Bobby. But there was another guy who doesn't fit the description, who didn't have a tattoo at the time, that was originally charged, but he was like from Michigan, and he was like killing women along the way or something to Wisconsin. But a really, like, he was a good-looking guy. He was perfectly normal looking, and he ended up hanging himself in prison. So nobody ever got answers, but they have him tied to 4 other deaths in Wisconsin. So the interesting part, though, is could he have been the one that killed Teresa? Who knows? Um, but Zellner, or a lot of people are starting to think that maybe Bobby is the serial killer. And if you kind of connect the dots, maybe. But if you look at other sketches of this, the one they think is a killer, he doesn't look like Bobby, looks older. But that one particular sketch looks a lot like Bobby. Bye, John. Thank you. Have a good turkey day. Anyone else here from Massachusetts? Millions and million dollars skimmed from many industries and businesses. In one of the essay and Barb recordings, it didn't happen over by me, as he knows where it did happen, but it clearly was not him. Again, points to Bobby. Sorry to hark on about it, but read it. It lays out to date. Which book are you speaking of, John? Lolita Express? Still watching, or Bobby killed it all? I mean, I'll be honest, for you guys that have followed me for 2 years, even though I took a year off, but if you guys follow me in 2016 and then now, when I first came back and I made that video, as Bobby a serial killer, I was kind of like half joking. Like, I didn't realize that could be true. Like, I was kind of like, all right, let me get a catchy title and maybe he could be. I had no idea that Zellner was talking about it or anything, or if she even was at that point. But I was just, now that all the stuff's coming up, now I'm like researching even more. Like, can I back that up? Could he really be a serial killer? So I just want to throw that out there. Wrecking Crew, Kathleen. Oh, Kathleen Zellner's book. Has anyone else read Kratz's book? It is such a joke and a half. See, but the thing that bothers me, Jen, about Kathleen's book, now it's like reminds me of what everybody else did. How are you writing a book about a case you haven't won yet? How are you writing a book about a case that you're trying to, do all these investigations plus all your other cases? Why are you writing a book about it already? I have a problem with that. I honestly do. At least 10 missing females in Wisconsin area from 2005 to present. Exact quote, he was pissed off at her because he wanted to get his blazer in the thing in the magazine. Like the last time she was there and he couldn't. But she did get pictures on the 22nd. She took pictures of the blazer on August 22nd. He already had pictures. He was already selling it. Wrecking Crew is not KZ's. Thank you, Dave, because I'm like, why is she writing a book? It's John Ferrick's book, right? That's cool. He just put her on the cover. As if she dies, at least it'll all be written. Good point, Bluebird. She's laying out the facts as she has found them. John Ferrick, okay. I like John Ferrick's writing. I honestly do. Making money off a murdered woman and 2 innocent men. Cindy, it seems to be the thing for everybody. Always thought Brendan was covering for Bobby. See, but Cindy, based on that too, I heard something that Griesberg, I don't even know the guy's name. Griesberg, asshole, whatever. He put some pretty vicious stuff in Steven's in his book about Stephen and Stephen's mom, and it like bothered me because, and I asked around and everyone said they heard about it, but I just thought it was messed up. So if John Ferrick is writing a book for the other side of it, I'm totally okay with that. She's tweeting about the book, so it's Zellner approved. Who is this phobia chick and why was I timed out? I'm sorry, Brian. I don't know why you were timed out. I read the comment. I was in the middle of reading the comment. I said, why did Brian get booted? Phoebe, why'd you mute Brian? An autobiography one day with Casey would be interesting. All about her cases. She's definitely had some interesting cases. I will say that. Cindy, what's sick? Brian, she said it was an accident. My copy. Yeah, I had opened it because I was like, why is Brian deleting his? I was in the middle of reading it and then it just like disappeared. So do you guys have any direct questions for me? Did it last week, deleted like 6 messages. Griesbach is damage control. Griesbach wrote some fucked up stuff about Mama Avery. I don't know if it's true or false, but it's pretty intense. Brendan's so confused on what they want from him. He's guessing. And I agree, a lot of that is guessing. I'm not saying it's not. Who do you think did it? Your plausible theory? I've always said Bobby did it. I think Bobby and Mike O did it, and I think Scott helped clean up afterwards. Phoebe no worries. I thought it was funny. I was only trying being annoying against Falcon. Falcon's not here, is he? Did anyone ever look for the rest of her body now or back then? Kitchen, I'm going to say no. I'm going to say that they have all surmised that she was dead and that was it, and the bones were recovered. I honestly, I don't think they ever bothered to look. But at the same time, I also kind of believe that they already found her. They already knew she was dead, and that's where the mom was so calm during her was so calm during her call because they already had her. She was already dead. They already knew where she was. Some missing woman could be associated with Israel Keys. I don't even know who Israel Keys is. Did they see ST on surveillance at Green Bay Hospital with his mom? Was he really there? I believe that he was there, but not at the time frame that he states he was there. There was something to it where he wasn't actually there, but he was there at some point, but then left. I read some recent comments from Brendan's half or stepbrother saying Bobby could be guilty. Forget his name. Brad. First in the family to do so. Yeah, Karen, that's Brad. Good night. Happy Thanksgiving. Good night, Missy. Happy Thanksgiving to you guys too. 2:37 here in the UK. Did you hear the story from the wife of the German suspect? If so, what do you thought? I thought the wife of the German suspect was killed. Am I mixing stories here? Didn't the German suspect kill his wife? Or am I mixing two different stories? Where was TH when? They searched and searched for a body and something. Have you seen a Paradise Lost? Yeah, I've seen Paradise Lost. I actually found quite a lot of similarities with his case. Falcon must be punished. The amount of bones found was less than half of her. I agree, Kitchen. If she was killed somewhere, finding the rest. Well, supposedly all her ashes were in the fire, and that's why her ashes were in the fire, and that's where the other half of the body went, according to the theory. Hey, is Bobby a serial killer? Don't know yet. Very possible. I mean, very probable. Possible. You never know. They got the suspect in custody for the Catholic supply store murder. Barb, Brad, Bobby, blame Brendan. No, Brad is not Barb's kid. Was Bobby arrested? Did he disappear? No. Suggest in your background you create a murder board, connections, photos, timeline. Well, that's TC. That's why I've been doing the PowerPoints. God, that scared the shit out of me. That's why I've been doing the PowerPoints, because of that. Ugh. Hang on 1 second, my son. Sorry about that. All right, I have like 5 minutes because I have to go get my son. Bobby and Scott. Who killed Teresa? Did Bobby and Scott do it together? No, I don't think Bobby and Scott did it together. I think that Bobby and Mike O did it, and Scott helped with the cleanup. If anyone killed her, there were any suspects, but for sure, Stephen was framed and Brandon was used and abused to make the kill. Yeah, I don't think Brendan killed her. I don't think Brendan had anything to do with the murder. Colin found the car 2 days before it was found. Is this when they planted the evidence? I believe so. Someone gave a theory today that something about I forgot who it was. Someone in my group gave a theory that when they were hauling the trailer or something, they had to stop and reconnect it, and that's when they planted the evidence. Something like that. I don't remember totally. Bobby never tried to flee to Costa Rica. Yeah, Jen, don't listen to him. I think he was being sarcastic. Bobby's not in jail. Bobby is not in jail. Bobby did not disappear. Brad is a Dassey, but Brian, Blaine, and Brendan and Bobby all have the same mom. Brad does not have the same mom. Yeah, Travis is being fake news. Not that Brendan killed her. No, I agree. When was it that Bobby first TH as Steven's girlfriend? I don't remember Bobby referring to TH as Steven's girlfriend. iMac? I don't remember Bobby ever referring to TH as Steven's girlfriend. But no, just to wrap this up, what I will say is Bobby never disappeared. Bobby just doesn't want to be in front of the camera at all. But Bobby didn't disappear. Bobby didn't get divorced. He didn't get arrested. Nothing has happened yet. He also hasn't come forward yet. But he doesn't want anything to do with making a murderer, Steven, the whole scenario. He doesn't care. He's not saying a word. What goes on after that? I don't know. What goes on behind closed doors? I don't know. I mean, like, you look at the Green River Killer, he was perfectly sane guy. I mean, he was kind of dorky, but he was a perfectly normal, everyday guy. And he was like killing people and then coming home was kissing his wife. I mean, he was raping. So, I mean, it does happen. Thank you for your time. You're welcome, Jennifer. Bobby has the entire world thinking he's a pedo serial killer. He isn't safe coming out of hiding. That's true, too. John, I agree with you. Bobby is a schmuck. All right, guys, I do have to cut this, though. I got to go pick up my son from his girlfriend's house, and then I work in the morning. I want to wish you guys a fantastic, happy Thanksgiving tomorrow. If you're not celebrating Thanksgiving, have a wonderful turkey day anyway. Go out and buy turkey because I'm sure you can get it cheap everywhere. And I may do a video tomorrow night. I highly doubt it, but if I do or I don't, I did one last year, 2 years ago for Thanksgiving. But I will do one Friday night, normal live show, Friday night lights or whatever. So gather all your questions, and I will see you guys Friday. And I hope you guys have a fantastic night. Tisa, you're a vegan, so you could still have yams, sweet potatoes, and brownies and everything else. And seriously, guys, have a safe Thanksgiving if you're driving, if you're going anywhere. And I hope you guys have a wonderful night. And again, I will speak to you guys on Friday for a live show. All right? Peace out.